Hey everybody. Yeah, I see you down there. It's my Raw review for last night's Raw. And I have to say it was a pretty decent Raw. I thought it was really good. In some areas. I mean, a lot of people, like the Off the Rope show, like the British Fish, like the Brad Rules, a lot of them have all said that the way they began Raw last night is exactly the way they should begin it any other time. They should begin it in a big way. And it was quite a big way. I mean, you basically started out with the Heyman-McMahon fight. Now, Heyman did get some shots in with the crutch, but McMahon was able to block him on the third attempt or fourth attempt, and then whack him with his own. And it looked like, and then of course, it looked like as soon as McMahon was going to probably hit the final blow, that's when Brock comes out. You hear Brock's music hit. And pretty much I think a lot of us, even though it was a great way to open Raw, I think a lot of us pretty much knew that this whole thing, even I said this, that this whole thing with Brock Lesnar and this whole thing with Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon was nothing more than a setup, a beginning foundation for the rematch between Brock Lesnar and the man that came out afterwards, one of my personal favorites, Triple H. And again, what a way to start Raw. I mean, it was got physical, it got brutal, and it got bloody. I mean, when Triple H, usually when you see somebody get slammed right into the steel post, it doesn't really hurt them that much. But Brock got thrown in there with such force, it's like, holy shit, what happened? He got busted open the hard way. Not the blading or anything, but the hard way. So, and that was really interesting. Because here you have WWE, or at least in a lot of people's minds, WWE is trying to be PG, family friendly, and yet you're letting them go to this extreme. And I think what it is, and Zeb Colter, Wayne, I think his name is, his real name is Wayne, said this in his little shoot, him and Jack Swagger, or Jake Hager's shoot to Glenn Beck, that, that even though they are a family-friendly product and they are PG, it doesn't mean they can't push the envelope in certain areas. Heck, I said it before when I was talking about this whole Jack Swagger situation. I said that you have movies out there that are PG-13 movies, but yet they should be R-rated movies because they're horror. I mean, seriously. You got horror, R-rated with a horror-related movie, R-rated horror movies with a PG-13 rating. So I'm thinking, what if people have problems? Yes, it's PG. But guess what? PG in the past has proven you can still be violent at times. You can still have blood. You can still have this and that. It doesn't mean you have to tone it down. And to me, I think what the WWE, whether you like them or not, is trying to do is WWE is trying to say, hey, on occasions, we're going to bring out the hardcore stuff. We're going to go extreme. We're going to get bloody. We're going to get really physical and violent. But it's only on occasions. And that was basically what it was last night. It was that occasion. And it kind of probably gave you an idea that with the rematch coming, that they might go with maybe a street fight, no disqualification kind of thing. But that they might also say, hey, look, we're going to probably take this match and make it one of those matches that really gets bloody and violent. Something to really say, hey, look, we're PG, but doesn't mean we still can't do this on occasions. It's kind of like last year at Extreme Rules with Brock and Cena. Basically, the thing was, they knew they were going to have sort of a hybrid fight, hybrid wrestling shoot fight. They knew that. And they knew, and I'm sure WWE knew, hey, they're going to get bloody. But we got to do our best to, attempt, to stop the blood. And it doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work. And I'm pretty sure Triple H went to Vince McMahon and said, hey, look, went to Vince McMahon and said, hey, look. Went to the board and Vince McMahon said, hey, look, there's going to be occasions where we're going to have to get bloody because of the storyline and how personal and physical it can be. So I'm pretty sure Triple H may have said something, and they'll say, okay, fine. Anyway, the fight between the two was really intense, really brutal, really bloody, like I said. And, it basically sets up Triple H, Brock Lesnar 2. And to me, what a way to really set that up. I mean, if this is any indication, hopefully, of what we're going to get at WrestleMania, then I'm buying the pay-per-view. I'm still going to buy it, but I'm buying it specifically for this kind of a match. Anyway, after that, we got Ryback versus Dolph Ziggler in a decent match, but mostly Ryback dominated most of it. But a decent match. And I think, in a sense, they might be teasing perhaps a Ryback-Langston situation in the near future. What else? Trying to make sure I don't forget anything here. Because I was back and forth yesterday. Last night, my mom was on Facebook, so I had to go back and forth because I was checking on her. Because she's getting good at typing and learning the stuff, but there are times she'll click on things and certain things on Facebook will pop up and she'll be wondering, or certain things on the computer will pop up if she's typed something or whatever. She'll be like, what is this? What's that? So I was kind of going back and forth with that, if you will. But Randy Orton, he defeated Cesaro in a quick match. We had Jack Swagger beat The Miz in a very good match. We had the Primetime Players back on Raw after a while, but they lost in a very unique match. Basically, it was Team Hell. Excuse me. It was Team Hell No in a very unique situation. The unique situation was that Kane had one hand tied behind his back. Daniel Bryan was blindfolded. Because basically there was an argument that I didn't catch where they were saying, I think Kane would say, hey, I could beat these guys one hand behind my back, or, something like that. So, but they ended up winning. So that was pretty cool. But I think they're still trying to tease attention. I think eventually what it's going to lead towards, whether people want to believe it or not, is Kane and Daniel Bryan at Mania. That's what it's going to lead towards, in my honest opinion. So, now before we had the Miz Swagger match, though. Now before we had that Miz Swagger match that I mentioned just a little bit, just briefly there, and how Swagger won, decent match, very good match, decent. We had Miz TV with Del Rio and Swagger, and it was very good, from what I understand. I saw some of it. It was very, very good. And apparently, afterwards is what led to Miz and Swagger. So, okay, that happened. And then throughout the night, we got some advertisements, some interactions, and promos. Like we had Sheamus and his Oscar snubs that involves basically his current situation with Wade Barrett. And that's another thing. What are they doing with Sheamus? It looks like they're teasing Sheamus and Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. But then again, later on in the night, it seems they're teasing Sheamus, Randy Orton, and maybe Ryback. Well, we're not sure about Ryback yet, but Randy Orton and Sheamus and maybe Ryback against the Shield at Mania. I'm just saying. And why do I say that? Because you had Sheamus come out, distract the Shield, get Ambrose and Reigns to come out of the ring, and you had, by doing so, you left Rollins in there, allowing Randy Orton to come out out of the crowd and RKO Rollins. Oh yeah, and throughout all this we also have Mark Henry and the Great Khali. Mark Henry again beats the Great Khali. And again, just like with Sheamus, nobody knows what to do with him. There's talk of Sheamus and Henry. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking or what they're going to do. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. They got to get the priorities straight going in. As we're getting close to the Mania, they got to get the priorities straight. Anyway, we had some, other stuff go out. We had trailers of Dead Man Down, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Marine 3, you name it. We had that kind of stuff going in there. And above all, so far, it was an okay show. There was no doubt about it. They even had someone show a tout of The Undertaker returning in a live event in Waco, Texas, even though Undertaker wasn't there last night, and neither was Jericho or The Rock. But it was still a decent show. And they also advertised that next week we're going to go old school again. In other words, go back to the way it was. So, in some manners. And we'll see how that is. If it's like last time, I'm going to probably enjoy it. And then of course we got a CM Punk promo, which I guess you could say is kind of controversial because he basically said he's God. And I don't think that's going to sit well with anybody. And heck, it didn't sit well with the WWE announcers or anything, either that was storyline or not. And I think it was, but it still didn't sit well with them. And I'm sure it doesn't sit well with anybody that watched it. I mean, I heard it, and even though I'm a CM Punk mark, I'm thinking, did he just say it in the way that I think he said it? It just didn't seem right. But then we get the match between, finally we get to the match between CM Punk and John Cena. And this, my friends, I saw most of this. This was really, really good. A lot of people have been praising this match so far. It's one of the best matches of the year. But one of the best matches on Raw so far. Definitely really good. I mean, these guys pulled out all the stops. I mean, they did things they had usually done before in the encounters, but they did things that we had not seen them do ever. I mean, well, we had seen them do, but not, as well, not as much as they did them last night. I mean, you had them counter. I mean, you had Cena counter the Anaconda Vice into the STF. You had the CM Punk counter that back into the Anaconda Vice. You had Cena counter the Anaconda Vice into a crossface, not an STF, Michael Cole, a crossface. You saw a GTS get hit, Cena kicks out of that. You saw Cena hit an attitude adjustment, Punk kicked out of that. Back and forth, I mean, just tremendous action. I mean, Cena, for the first time in a while, that I remember, went to the top rope and hit his top rope leg drop. We had not seen that in a while. He did that. I mean, it was just great back and forth action. I mean, these guys pulled out all the stops. They put on a really good wrestling match, as far as I'm concerned. And Cena was able to come out on top. And how did he finally come out on top? Well, even though he hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, even though he missed hitting the 5-knuckle shuffle the first time when CM Punk kicked him in the head, he hit it the second time, but again, CM Punk was able to kick out of that attitude adjustment or whatever came afterwards. And it was just a tremendous match. And like I said, the way Cena was able to win was Punk was going for his Macho Man elbow, missed it, and Cena was able to take advantage and basically jump up and hit a Hurricane Rana, probably one of the better versions of a Hurricane Rana he's hit, one of his better versions or better attempts, and then hit the attitude adjustment to get the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, John Cena finally beat CM Punk in Dallas, Texas, and I'm sure a lot of people pretty much figured this was going to happen, but the thing was you weren't sure yet, and that's the one thing I think we got to credit WWE with, is none of us were sure exactly if they were going to do that or not, if they were going to go triple threat or not. But apparently, from what people are saying, with them going old school next week, that's probably when we're going to get Punk Taker set up. So I thought it was an okay Raw. Comment down below, tell me what you guys thought about it, and I'll talk to you all later.